Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to be talking about apocalypse.
I've been experiencing this for the past couple weeks, so I understand fully.
Have you seen a lot of apocalypse movies that talk about the end of the world and what happens after the end of the world?
I have. I've seen quite a few of those. That's a popular subject.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that's sort of taken over the zeitgeist, if you will, here recently?
You know, in the old days, I think this was one of those. This is a warning type things. Like this could happen if you don't. That was a popular theme in a lot of the 50s and 60s films. Like, this is what's going to happen if you stop screwing around. Even stuff like your Planet of the Apes and whatnot. Or Last Man on Earth or whatever. More recently, I just think it's a popular subject matter, and it's an easy gimmick to throw in a film.
It is.
You know, look, it's a Mad Max world, or you're the last guy on Earth, or some kind of crap like that, and they just put some stuff together. I don't know if you watched that show, The Last Man on Earth. It was sort of a similar thing, Or we've talked about.
Is it like the Will Smith movie where he was the last man on Earth?
We're never going to talk about that again. That was horrible. No, I'm talking. This show was horrible too. Because the Last Man on Earth ended up there was a cast of like 20 people, so clearly he wasn't the last man. And then of course we've talked about The Quiet Earth before. It's another one of these last Man on Earth movies, which was probably one of the better ones. So or Stephen King, The Stands and stuff like that. Where it's a big, it's just a common, popular thing. I mean, do you like those? Is that your thing?
When I saw The Stand, I never read the book The Stand, but I remember the TV movie. Do you remember that it was a miniseries?
Yeah, I had Molly Ringwald in it.
Yeah.
I hated it.
I thought that was neat, and I was like, cool. It's like a show to see what would happen if the world ended. And then it just seems like every other story is kind of like that story. There's always a small band of good guys and a band of bad guys, and they're battling it out.
Yeah.
And so I'm sort of over it, but I'll tell you who's not over it: middle school students.
Oh yeah.
Because every book they bring in, it's either some sort of like there's a book about cat people that's very popular these days.
Cat people.
Everything else is like the Grid Runner, the Maze Dancer. They're all post-apocalyptic, the Hunger Games. It's all that sort of thing.
No, that wasn't post-apocalyptic. That was just like the Earth. I mean, we took a downturn. But it wasn't post-apocalyptic. There's still society in the United States.
That's true. That's true.
I saw a movie a couple years ago called "This Is the End." I think that's what it was called. And it had.
Was it about Jim Morrison?
No, it was about. It had the guys from. You ever seen Pineapple Express?
Oh yeah, no. I saw the other thing.
Oh, they had those guys in it. That bunch of guys.
Wait a minute. Was the Pineapple Express, was that the one about the movie? They were trying to make the movie?
No, this was about some guys that sold drugs.
Right. What's the movie I'm thinking about?
You're thinking of that one with Eddie Murphy. I don't know the name of it.
Bowfinger?
Bowfinger.
No, that's not what I'm thinking about.
Well, all you told me was they try to make a movie.
This is set in the jungle.
Oh, yeah, that's the one that had old. That was a good flick, actually.
Yeah, I love that movie.
That's not that.
I wish it was that movie.
No, this was pretty funny. But I don't think you would like it because it's sort of body humor, But I did enjoy that one. So I'd say that was one of my more favorite apocalyptic movies. At least that one, the whole world did end. That was kind of cool. Yeah. And at the end, the guys who went to heaven, who could,
that's good,
or didn't go there.
I like a good happy ending.
Yeah. What? I'm going to ignore that.
So, Aaron, it's been a rough week for old A.
Well, it's been a busy week. Let's just put it that way.
I know that you've beat yourself up, in my opinion, unnecessarily for our YouTube live ban. I don't think you need to feel bad about it, and I come bearing gifts to brighten your day.
Oh,
Aaron.
okay, good.
So here you go.
Okay, please do not bend. So
just bend it up.
Do I just rip it open?
Just rip it open.
Okay. Oh, okay, I know what this is. Thank you, Boat. I don't know if I can get it out of here. This is the, in fact, you sort of mentioned this. You vaguely pointed out, this is the Retro Man Cave calendar. Look at that. This is for charity. Look right there on the back. The charity. And I'll look right there on the front. This is timely because just sitting on my desk is a very similar scene with the Amiga 1000. That's really nice. Thank you, Bo.
So
have you looked through this thing yet?
I just saw some pictures online, but it's got some beautiful photography, and this benefits Bluebell Wood, which is a children's hospice in the UK. If you'd like to pick one of these up and you're watching or listening right now, head on over to Etsy and just search for Retro Man Cave on there. And you can order one of these, and like Aaron said, all the proceeds go to Bluebell Wood Children's Hospice. The new brain.
I could use that desperately. Got the links in here. I mean, this is all. Look at that.
Yeah, I think he's going to be doing one of these every year. I think, and I'm going to try and submit a photograph. I did not have time to properly outlay my things, but I figure with my collection, I should be able to put together a halfway decent looking picture.
You know, this is a real. I really like this. Is a nice quality thing here. I look, there's an Atari
on the beach.
Yeah, that's it washed up, I guess. Oh, there it is. There's the 1000. There's a guy on the Amiga Facebook group that does calendars too. And I've got a couple of his too that are real nice. It's nice. I like these kind of retro computer inspired calendars. This will go nicely into the arcade. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Brighten my week, and thanks to the Retro Man. You did a good job. Nice work there.
Let's talk about what's been going on over at everythingamiga.com, Aaron. This is normally your segment, and you are going to talk about DK and what he's been up to. But this particular article touched my heart and my soul. A great many months ago, we sent our Amiga 600, PAL Amiga 600, away up to the wilds of the North.
Yeah,
Canada, Aaron. Canada.
Hoser country.
That's right. We sent it up to our boy, Jason Warrens.
You gotta call him our boy. How about our comrade, our good buddy?
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So, there were of course this 600 had sort of been through multiple repair attempts, and had some things that needed to be done to it. And one of the things that Jason did was he actually replaced the does this have a nickname? The power plug. It reminds me of a die, like a 5 on
the devil plug.
Yeah,
because they were so hard to get for the longest time.
Right. He's replaced that with a more standard square power socket. And if you have a spare Amiga around and you are interested in doing something similar, he basically takes you through all of the steps to do this. And you might be asking yourself, why would I want to do this? Why would, now that these 5-shaped pin power supplies are more readily available, the answer, my friend, is cost. You are able to get one of these standard power supply connectors to your door for like $2 shipped from China, which is a far cry for what they're asking for one of these more specialized connectors. Now, I know that in the Amiga community, there is a desire to keep as many things au naturel as possible. But if you're interested and connected one of these bad boys to a more standardized power supply, for example, if you have an old AT XT power supply laying around, or if you'd like to connect a Pico PSU to this bad boy, this is a way to do that. So if you're at all interested, go on over to everythingamiga.com, and this article should pop up right on the front page. And if it's not, click on the Labs tab, and you can read Jason's whole take on this thing.
There's multiple reasons to think about this. Now, because yes, I agree, keeping your Amiga pure and all this whatnot. I'll give you that. But there's two big reasons I can think of. One, these square power plugs were very rare until recently, when they've started being manufactured again. And who knows how long that's going to last. And then you're back to square one. Whereas the power supply plug that Jason has put in is a standard. You can buy these things will be made from now to doomsday. It fits perfectly. And you'll really never know the difference unless you look hard. You really can't see any difference if it's round to the square. It allows you to use a multitude of alternative power supplies. And if you're like me, I'm still, of course, I've got the Boat Special powering my main Amiga, just for, I don't know why, because I've got normal Amiga power supplies, but I've just used that one because it amuses me to have a big box.
It's a shoebox.
But another thing about it is that if you're using some of these old square power supplies, they're aging rapidly, and these things can off your machine quick.
True.
If they go south, and so if you don't have the means to go grab you, because let's face facts, you can't go out and buy a brand new Amiga power supply with just like it was. They're old. This gives you the alternative of actually going out and buying yourself a brand new, smaller, probably more energy efficient, and probably way more safe power supply to hook in. So it's a good idea. The Pico, like I said, I've heard people are real fond of these and have had a lot of success with us. That's an interesting way to go. And the Amiga really doesn't take that much power. so you can get away with something smaller. So yeah, it's a real clever idea.
Yeah. So what has Dreamcatcher been up to this week, Aaron?
Dreamcatcher's got an article up this week entitled "Just Call My Name and Oil Be There."
Just look over your shoulder.
He is
honey.
the pun master.
He is.
the pun
Oh,
master.
I recognize this screenshot right away.
that is hideous. Top Banana screenshot. Thankfully, he's not talking about Top Banana. He's taking a look at a game called Bio Challenge. Have you ever heard of this one, Bo? I think it was made by one of Delphine's sub companies. And I have to say, I've not played this one before. I looked over this article. It's a very strange game. It's basically a time-wasting game. And it's hard to explain. I just check out the article. I looked at this the other day, and it's once again, if I had a nickel for one of these articles he's put out of a game I've never heard of, that I think I got to try this. And sometimes we even get into them. So I have this one. I have a feeling we might come across it at some point down in the future. But this is from Delphine Software, and so it's probably halfway decent. And of course, this one also appeared on the Atari ST, so if you feel like trying a Bio Challenge and you've got an Atari, you can hop in there and grab it. So good stuff as usual from the DK.
Awesome. Aaron, it's been a busy week, and there's only one transportation vessel that can take us to the world of Amiga news. It's the Gamble Train. Here it comes rolling down the track. I've incorporated the Gamble Train into the Amiga News logo.
Thank God.
Yeah, that way you'll never be without it.
Thank you. Oh, boy.
This week, Aaron, we're going to start off with a melancholy Happy Trails.
Oh, this was devastating.
Yeah.
It's another bad point in my week right here.
Yeah, Amigarama has decided after over 100 episodes that he is going to take a break from the show. He is closing up shop for the time being. If you are at all involved in the Amiga scene, you'll know that Amigarama is one of the great weekly podcasts out there covering a different game each week from the, I believe he's Scottish, correct?
I
think Lefarius is Scottish. He's
got a great voice.
Yeah, he's got a great voice, and I always enjoyed listening to his shows where he covered the same game that we did, just to get a different take on it.
Yeah,
So,
Lefarius is a real great guy. He's a nice guy. It's funny, we just talked about his 100th episode a couple weeks ago, and little did I know that and trust me, I can understand, especially this week, that real life tends to get in the way of your fun time. And sometimes you just have to make the break, and that's what he had to do. So I will miss Lefarius, and I'm hoping he'll come back at some point. At the bare minimum, I'd love for him to come by and visit us sometime, or join up with us on the show at least once, and or maybe at least do some specials or something. So because he's very, very popular, and his show. Amigarama has really taken off in the last couple months. I mean, he's become a real big player. So we'll be sad to see Lefarius. I made sure to tell him that we wouldn't expect him to stay around the community if he's not on the show anymore.
Right. I'm glad he's still sticking around the old Discord.
Yeah, he's a real good guy too.
Okay, Aaron. Next up, this was a video that I actually wanted to cover last week, but I forgot. I forgot to add it in. This is Stephen Jones of Checkmate 1500 fame. And he's giving basically his thoughts on the Amiga 34 show over in Germany.
Yeah.
His thoughts on the future of Amiga as a platform, and also his next plans for what he wants to do with his own products.
I watched this whole thing myself a couple of days after it came out. It's Stephen is he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's very. He's blunt, and you can tell he's a real super nice guy.
He's very passionate about the Amiga. To me, if it were up to me, I'd kick to the curb everybody and all the top brass at Cloanto and Hyperion, and I would put Stephen Jones in charge of everybody.
He has been sort of the arbiter or the peacemaker to a certain degree, and if you'll recall, he was the fellow that interviewed the guy from Cloanto, your buddy,
Mike,
that you met over there, and. It was a nice interview. Like I said, at the time I was like, I wish he'd thrown some harder questions at this guy, but he is involved in some degree with the talks between Hyperion and Cloanto, and I mean as an outlier, he's not, but it's the fact that there are talks, the fact that the lawsuit's been postponed for a while until they can hopefully iron out their differences. Amiga 34 was this could be a watershed moment. This could be one of those points that we look back on if these guys can get it together, because surely they realize now that despite their best efforts, there's a market out there and money to be made.
Mm-hmm.
And expansion to happen. It's there. And if everyone can get together, if we could get together as a community, everyone chill out, get together. You've got something, and you've got something. People laugh. They're blah, blah, Amiga, it's been dead for all these years. You've got there's enough people to start a force, of moving forward.
A wise man once said, I've got the bronze, you've got the brains, let's make lots of money.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that Hyperion's got the hardware, Cloanto's got the software. They just need to get together and they say, how can we serve our community in a way that makes them want to give us money instead of strong-arming our community into either guilting them or threatening them into giving us money.
And I think something that doesn't get talked about much, but their continual infighting and stuff. And listen, everyone's got reasons to not like both of them. They're what are you gonna do? Everyone does this sort of. They do stuff you don't like. They don't. But that is a divisive issue amongst the community. And the funny thing about the Amiga community is you can say what you want about them. Sometimes some of these people are jerks or impatient or they don't like someone else's the way they do stuff. They don't like Vampire, whatever. But they are passionate about their hobby. And if you get all that passion and we could all aim it in one direction, you got something.
You got something. And I knew that you would love the end of Steven's video because as a final plea for peace in the community, he plays a clip from what?
Babylon 5. And I, of course, instantly commented on that he made the right call, because Babylon 5, this was sort of an underlying plot element to the entire series about trying to unite all these different races and aliens. And that's effectively what the point he was trying to get across here, is that it can be done. Mm-hmm. So great, I love that. I love the ending. Good video.
Yeah.
I've never been more fired up about the Amiga from a community perspective as I am. Because you got to think when the whole time, especially me, and you've only been around for the last 5 or 6 years, but the whole time I've been around with the Amiga, I had no community at all because no one around here had one, and then later on there was some internet community, and then sometimes it gets splintered. But I was like a big rabid community, like the Atari guys are they're much more a unified community. I like to get a community like where everyone's together, and unlike the Atari guys, we've got a path forward here that
I think you've already got what you want. It's called the Amigos Retro Gaming Discord channel.
Is that what? Well, yeah,
That's
you're right.
I
will say that is a blessing. That does help.
All right, Aaron. We're going on.
All right, moving on.
This comes to us from our friend Amiga Love. Okay, so we're going to make this a lot bigger.
Another great forum.
So this is just a little tribute that he put out on Facebook. He said back in 2017 he learned of some amazing software for the Amiga 1000 called Kickwork.
Yeah.
Created in 1988. Had you heard of Kickwork before?
I've actually been looking into Kickwork with the 1000 I have now. That was something I was looking into, and the reason I was looking into it was strictly because I read about this. I read watched his video on it, Amiga Love's video on it. I'd not heard of it up to that point.
This was a piece of software published by Amigo Business Computers.
Oh yeah. Where's our cut?
Yeah, exactly. This is an awesome thing. It combines Kickstart and Workbench into a single disk.
Yeah.
Why did they not think of this before? This is truly incredible.
It took someone of some genius to come up with it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Amiga Love received a message that the creator of the software, Mr. Rudolph Lowe, sadly passed away recently, and Amiga Love just put out a little post about how nice Rudolph had been to him. And the video that he'd made about it, and so just another melancholy happy trails, if you were, to Rudolph Lowe, a truly genius programmer in the Amiga community, could do something that not even the engineers at Amiga could do. Incredible.
It's funny that if you watch Amiga Love's video, this software is not free, and of course it came out in '88. It's for the Amiga 1000, but it's funny when he contacted Mr. Lowe. Sure enough, he sent in his $30 or whatever, and he shipped out kick worse to Amiga love. And I just thought to myself, how many orders over the past, say, decade has this guy received, if any? I thought it was neat that he had this stuff standing by, but he was still ready to make a deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sucks. But hey, he'll be remembered for his very neat. And these things are, I mean, he's still in demand. I don't know if there's still going to be an avenue to buy it after this. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Now, going back to Amiga Germany 34, this is a full show report by none other than Ravi Abbott, who was live on the scene for the duration of the event. This
is great because one thing Ravi does is, and I love this, he goes around all over and shows you just like what it's like to walk through.
Look how good he looks. I mean, look how well, everybody's cameras are so much better than ours.
He's a damn handsome man. That's the problem. The cameras, it's not the camera's fault, Boots.
Okay, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Him and Dan are good looking, attractive men. All these guys are good looking. Even Paul. But you know, what you can do, the camera can't, it's not a magic camera.
That's true.
What is that stuff they use to make singers sound better?
Auto-tune?
We need the video version of that. Do they make something like that? That's what we need.
Auto-attractive.
Auto-attractive, that's right.
So Ravi basically takes you on a walking tour through all of the exhibits. He talks to various people. He tells you about all of the different hardware examples that were going on here. Just incredible stuff going on.
Yeah, Oktoberfest.
Yeah, the Oktoberfest event that was in the basement afterwards. I think this is just at a random place. Anyway, check this video out. It is about 20 minutes long, and it is well worth watching the whole thing.
Yeah, it's great.
It's if you couldn't make it, this is the closest thing that you can get to getting there.
This made me sad that I didn't get to go. I knew, this is one of those things, it's going to be a huge deal. And I'm just like, man, let's just see what goes down in it. And him walk, I mean, this is not some kind of little rinky-dink fest. This is a big deal.
This is probably the biggest festival only about the Amiga in the entire world.
This is a show where they were people, he showed at the beginning, they were lined up blocks down the road waiting to get in. Hundreds of people. So, I mean, it was the Amiga is certainly strong with the Germans and the Europeans. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. All right, Aaron, coming up next, there is it had been too long since we talked about a new Kickstarter for the Amiga.
Yeah.
And Amiga Love turned me on to this. This is a new mechanical keyboard replacement for the Amiga 500.
Ooh, how fancy.
Okay, so I know mechanical keyboards are kind of all the rage these days.
It is. It's funny how it's came back around.
Yeah, I know your brother, he's a big mechanical keyboard guy. I'm your typical cheap keyboard, non-mechanical. I don't know. Yeah. I just got your normal.
Man, I love mine. And what I like to do is turn on the beeps and get it really going.
Just
clicks, beeps. Man, I love it.
No one in your family can sleep or otherwise operate when you're using the computer.
The keyboard I use on my PC is ancient. It's an ancient keyboard, but I mean, you could pick it up and you could drive a stake into the ground.
It's an AT&T branded Model M.
That's right. Oh man, I got this from my good buddy, a non-evil Matt. Sent that over.
Yeah. So this thing is it's an early bird special, $69 for one set. This is it seems almost too good to be true. It's a choice, and this is insane. I can't believe that this is true. $69 for a new PCB, your choice of mechanical switches, and a new set of keycaps. That's a darn good deal. Yeah, that's not bad, is it? So
my 1200 could use a new keyboard like that. That would be nice.
Yeah, I was looking for, here it is. Here's the link. Let's see if they've got, it looks like that they are quite far away from their goal. Their goal, 47 grand. Yeah.
It's early days.
Yeah. They've still got 38 days to go with 46 backers. So, if you are in the market for something like this, definitely check that out.
That's what that tells me is that because I mean it's not like these guys are like, we're gonna make a bundle. That tells me that the entry to this is steep.
Yeah,
they're gonna need a lot of orders to go in there and bulk
the manufacturing
make these.
costs. Yeah.
I was noticing that Curtis and Chad just mentioned that there's also a mechanical keyboard replacement for the Coco 3 that's coming around too. So you're right, that is all the rage. It's mechanical keyboard mania.
Yeah, absolutely. We got one more story this week, Aaron, and it's Ravi again.
He's everywhere, man.
He's everywhere. The 8-bit mix. He calls it the Eurodance special, and he's back in his room mixing up some good tunes. Now, I follow Ravi on Facebook, and he's playing all over the place. He was over in Sheffield playing. There was a guy dressed up like a Daft Punk guy, and he was dancing around while Ravi was spinning. or not really spinning because you're not spinning anything, spinning the hard drive, I guess. He's got his tea, he's ready to go. So if you're looking for another good set of tunes mixed off an Amiga, make sure you follow Retro Ravi, or on, actually it's just Ravi Abbott. Retro Ravi must be his other screen name. Just Ravi Abbott on YouTube.
You know, I do have one slight issue with this.
Okay.
All right, you're sitting here, you've got the cool jams going.
Yeah, you do.
All right, you're rocking and rolling. You're telling me sucker's drinking a cup of tea while he's doing this? Tea?
Hey, man.
Unless it's a Long Island iced tea, I'm not buying it.
It's a different world over
that
in
tea
England.
better be Irished up. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to get funky with the beats. I'm going to have me some tea, too. There's the culture gap right there.
That is. All right, Aaron, that's going to do it for this week's roundup of Amiga news, brought to you by the one and only Gamble Train 3000. It's rolling away from the station, getting ready to pick up a new group of Amiga news to seep through its undercarriage next week.
My God, how long did it take you to sit down?
Support the Amigos.
What a freak. What's wrong with you? You've got mental
I
problems.
don't know what you're talking about. Aaron, are you ready to talk about this week's game, Apocalypse?
It seems more appropriate now than it did before that.
Now than ever before.
Oh, my
Now
God.
more than ever.
Now, you never played this one before, had you, Boaster?
Never.
Of course not. Me either, by the way. And then once again, I never heard of this one. And this is a game I'm surprised I hadn't heard about. So, Apocalypse. What a name, right? I think this name doesn't fit the game. I'll tell you that right now. I guess they're going for an Apocalypse Now thing.
Yeah, it's a total ripoff.
So this came out in the glorious year of 1994 and was available on 3 discs, published by Virgin, and developed. The funny thing, now this game has a weird backstory. Bo, did you get into this at all with the developer on this?
I know that it was sort of delivered. It was developed by one team and then sort of dumped on another team at the final hour.
Yeah. So development on this game initially began around 1991, and it was by an outfit called Strange Ways.
Okay.
The coders were Gary Liddon and Jason Perkins, and the graphic artist was Paul Dougherty. Anyway, those guys basically, they stopped working on the game, and so this game was basically delivered. That basically Mirrorsoft was who was publishing. They went into liquidation. Okay, so the game was picked up for publication by Virgin. The Strange Ways team decided to split up because they had artistic differences. That always shtick, and so their game was taken over by Miracle Games, and Miracle Games came in and finished the job, basically. It's funny because I was watching the playthrough on this on YouTube, and one of the first people that talked was one of the guys that was in the development team that took it over.
Oh, okay.
And he was saying, like, this was a tough one to develop, and we didn't start it, and we were trying to figure out which way to take it. So this actually had sort of 2 completely separate and unconnected development teams that worked on it.
That usually doesn't end well.
Well, it's odd, and the funny thing is, I would wonder where this was going to go before it got taken over, and then I would wonder what they did that was different than where it was going, because it's hard because this isn't the kind of game where you would expect that would happen. I mean, it seems pretty coherent.
Yeah.
I mean, cohesive, I should say. This is runs on ECS OCS, and is a helicopter game basically where you think. I guess there are easy connections to draw between this and Choplifter.
I believe the word you're looking for is clone.
Well, clone is an ugly word. I'm gonna go with
Homage.
Upgraded homage.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
In this game has a real wacky opening. That doesn't fit the game. I will say that. So, basically, the story is heavily armed rebel forces have invaded an island called Majapur and took a bunch of prisoners. All right, and including the player, your best buddy. So it'd be like if they took you hostage, Boat, and I had to come rescue you. You'd be dead. You'd be a dead man. So you're supposed to get in your copter, go blow up enemy forces, do all these missions, and then rescue your buddy and all the other prisoners. Okay, that's the game. Now the start of this game has this wacky cutscene where it shows these big armed guys taking away these hostages, and then it shows one of your buddies. Your buddy, like tied to a chair or something, and this guy's got him by the hair. He's like,
right. And there's another scene where he sort of gives him the old backhand.
Yeah. I read something else. I read that was in the original cutscenes for this, and I guess I don't know if it was on the demo or whatever. they said it was much more brutal. Like they were torturing this guy, you know. And I guess that stuff didn't make it. And probably a good idea. I mean, do we really need that?
No.
The scene where that guy's holding you by the back of the head, he's like, bah.
Yeah, that's enough.
That was pretty bad, you know. The opening of this game is real. Like I said, it doesn't really fit the game. I don't know if they just thought it looked cool or.
Hey man, how many Amiga games have we said the exact same thing about?
Well, but I mean, this is really. Well, I mean, last week's I guess was too, right? So it's funny. 2 weeks in a row, we're flying combat choppers. Oh, you know, I got to thinking about this when I was playing it. Think of all the cool games that you've played that have helicopters in them, right? You got Super Cobra, right? You've got Silkworm,
Jungle Strike.
You got Choplifter, just to name a few. Swiv.
Right. Well, just saying the word combat chopper, it gets you all fired up.
Yeah, and I will say, so basically, you start off in this game. You're in the jungle. You start off on a landing pad at your little base, and what you do is go up in the air, fly over, blow up dwellings. Like these are like jungle dwellings. Think of Vietnam. And you blow them up, and then guys in white coats will run out, and you land your chopper and pick them up now. And it's rinse and repeat. Okay, now here are some of the variables. Sometimes you'll blow up a house, and guys in green coats will come out. Let me tell you something.
Those are the bad guys.
These little suckers are mean.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the dudes in Walker. They come up and they'll think they can't take down your chopper. They've got ground-to-air missiles. They're being jerks. And they've got guns. And so you've got to blow them to smithereens, a la Walker.
Yeah.
There's also a very unfair artillery battery on the first level that just launches, that lobs
from completely off screen.
Yeah, and that is irritating. Now you can go over and blow them up eventually, which we'll get to that in a minute. So when you hear that, you land, you pick up hostages, you take them back to your base, you drop them off. What does that sound exactly like?
It's Choplifter.
Okay, now what makes this different, Boat, from Choplifter?
The fact that it is a multi-tiered layout, so some of the landing platforms are higher and lower.
Yeah.
Obviously the graphics in this game are much better. I mean, this is a beautiful looking game.
Very lush greenery.
Yeah, the jungle is detailed. And every aspect of this game is animated quite well. These might be the smallest individual sprites. I don't know the correct word, but I'm going to call them sprites. The little dudes.
Yeah, these guys make the guys in Sensible Soccer look big.
Right,
they're super
right.
tiny.
These guys make lemmings look like Sodan. That's what I'm talking about. So they're even though they're ultra tiny, you can still see their little arms moving around. It's a feat of wonder to me the way that these guys are animated.
Yeah.
Your chopper is ultra detailed. You've got a tail rotor that you can see spinning. It's a very graphically impressive game.
Yeah, it looks good. And I was reading the same guy that I read in his comments had talked about how they use special tricks to get extra levels of scroll in the game that you normally wouldn't be able to get. They used some sort of hack or whatever. They took advantage of a chip issue to do it. So these guys knew some tricks when they put down the graphics. That's for darn sure.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you about the downfall of this game. Okay. The downfall of this game is that the scale is not conducive to enjoyable gameplay. Your chopper sprite is quite large. In fact, it's probably as small as it could be to have the amount of detail that it has. But because they've made your chopper so large, your surrounding view is quite small. Everything is drawn properly to scale, but everything is drawn from the perspective of the helicopter, which makes sense because it has to be, because the little dudes have to go into your helicopter. Because of that, you don't have any radar in this game, which would have been useful. And you are basically just stumbling through the dark trying to figure out where you're supposed to go. That wouldn't be an issue if you didn't have to contend with stuff firing at you from off screen. So, for example, in the first level, you have to know that when you move left, you have to approach it at a certain altitude or else you'll instantly be cut down by the artillery fire from off screen.
And if you stay in one place too long, they zero in and get you too.
Right.
And they're very accurate.
Right. I believe this game is too difficult right off the bat. They should have given you a couple levels where there's limited enemies. You're just picking guys up, you're taking them back so you can get familiar with the controls. Let's talk about the controls. I actually think this game controls pretty darn well. I didn't have any issue controlling my chopper.
It's way better than Choplifter.
It's way better than Choplifter.
Yeah, I mean, and it's exactly the same movement.
Yeah. They've honed that down to a science.
I thought the control was actually great. I was real impressed. Yeah.
This game has a variety of special weapons that you can use. You trigger these by hitting the spacebar, which pauses the action. Then you use the joystick to select your weapon. You hit pause, and then you can use.
Well, that's one thing you can do. That's not what I did.
What did you do?
So your function keys select the weapon.
Oh, okay.
And then you can hold the button down or you
double tap
it to get the weapon. That system is not the best. What I would love to see is 2-button support. Really, what this could use would be 3-button support. One to scroll, one to shoot that weapon, and one to shoot your gun.
Yeah,
but I'm not greedy.
It's the nature of the Amiga to have one button.
There's nothing you can do about it. I thought it was okay. I didn't like having to control while using the function keys, but again, I understand if you're gonna have multiple weapons. And unlike a lot of games, the actual multiple weapons in this actually help because. Like for example, in the first level when you've got that artillery gun, that battery, you can go over and missile the crap out of it right away. And once you blow it up, you don't have to worry about this thing lobbing these shells at you. It makes the level a lot easier. It's always the first thing I would do. And you can't sit there with guns and do it. You have to get your missiles out or whatever. You can also pick up occasionally. You'll see a parachute float down with a power up. It's funny, these things that was seemed kind of wonky to me because they always seem to be falling below where I was at. Mm-hmm. So it was real difficult to get to them sometimes. Mm-hmm. And they would have basically it would give you more armaments, to more numbers of armaments, or to replenish your supply. Did you? How far did you get level wise?
I got the second level.
Okay, that's where I got to. Mm-hmm. The second level is actually really beautiful. It's got waterfalls on it, and the second level was not super. I didn't think it was super hard. But it was just your craft can only hold they get 6 guys, and so it was there's a lot of going back and forth, and I would get attrition when being enough to get me.
I think that's different. I'm not a huge Choplifter guy, but I think in Choplifter your craft can basically hold unlimited dudes.
I can't remember. It's been since I played it. It also it probably varies. There's so many different versions of it.
That's true.
Something that this game had that I thought was real different was that occasionally you'll come across people that are injured, or you'll injure them. Mm-hmm. And so what you can do is, instead of just leaving them for dead, you go back to your base. There's 2 landing ports. There's a landing port just to land, and there's another port where you pick up a medical team.
Right.
And then you'll drive your helicopter up to wherever or pilot, I guess drive it doesn't sound right, pilot it to wherever you need to where someone's injured, and you let your medical team off, you drop them off, and they go and pick the guy up on a gurney and bring them back to your helicopter, and you pilot it back to drop them off. I thought that was neat.
Yeah.
That's probably the most unique element to the game. I mean, I had a thing to let me skip the levels, and so I tried all the different levels. And they're all pretty much, it's the same gameplay pretty much. I will say the last level has you the second to last level has you blowing up. You have to go to the jungle and blow up these huge doors to this temple. Uh-huh. And then in the last level, you actually pilot your helicopter into the temple, so you're actually underground in the chopper. And that was kind of neat. It's claustrophobic down there.
Then it turns into a blood money sort of thing.
Well, no, it's not like that. One of the problems I had with the game is where Boat said it's sort of multi-leveled platforms that you were operating on, or like pieces of land, and sometimes you can just sort of fly. It's sometimes difficult to see where you can and can't fly through. Mm-hmm. The perspective is sort of odd. Mm-hmm. I mean, for the most part, you can fly through most stuff, but it's sometimes it's funny on the first level if you're sticking real low to the ground because you have to because of the artillery shells. You can come up onto where your landing area is, and it's elevated above where the lower levels of the jungle are, and you can come up and you'll
smash right
rock.
Into it. Yeah.
So that's sort of a weird thing that I probably would have done that a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But this game suffers really, to me, its biggest crime is lack of variety. To be honest with you, I think you can take this. They've got the engine here to make a good game, a really good game, with more variety than they had. Mm-hmm. The whole rescue the people, drop them off gimmick, not aside from the fact it's been done, there's not a lot there. There's only like 5 levels, I think, to this, and most of them are the rescue level. I think the second to last level with the temple, all you do there is just destroy everything you see. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of different combat enemies, you've got tanks, you've got enemy aircraft, enemy helicopters, you got artillery, stuff like that. But I mean, it's not like they reinvented the wheel in this, is it?
Right.
I mean, what did you think of the any music or anything turn you
this
on?
game, I mean, it's got a nice theme tune when you first load it up, but we've got no in-game music, and it really would have made me play it more, I think, if there would have been some sort of a driving soundtrack.
That surprised me too. 'Cause I thought you would have something.
And I went and I compared this with Choplifter 3 on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And I just to get a different perspective.
I've never played that.
And the games themselves look pretty similar, pretty graphically similar. And also with Choplifter 3, it had no in-game music either. It was just the sound of the rotors.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, remember that game we played on the 3DO? That had the awesome. You could pick different vehicles. And it had
that was that
awesome
top down.
orchestral.
Yeah.
Why? I want that.
Yeah.
I want some
Ride of the Valkyries.
I
or
want
something
some
like
kind
that.
of, and it's you can get it for nothing.
Right.
Get it in there.
Yeah. Now, of course, getting it in there on a disc game is different than getting it in there on a CD.
This thing is 3 discs. You tell me they couldn't fit some mod files on this thing?
They
I'm not buying
fit
it.
on there. Yeah.
So that's a shortcoming. The in-between parts are there. They're for the most part pointless.
Yeah.
I mean, really, there's nothing to write home about. I thought it was okay.
Yeah,
I thought
it's an okay
it
game.
could have been great as opposed to like pretty good. We weren't alone. I looked up some reviews on this boat, and the folks over at Lemon gave it a 7.1.
Okay.
And for Lemon, you're in the mediocre zone right there.
Yeah.
Amiga Computing gave it a 66%. Amiga Format gave it an 86. Amiga Power gave it an 80. CU Amiga dropped the hammer, 49%.
Wow.
And the One gave it an 81.
I wonder if it was a misstep releasing the first level on a cover disc, because when you do that, you set an expectation that this game is going to be like much bigger and badder and better when it comes out in its full version, and really, from what you're saying, it really wasn't.
I was also surprised that this was so many discs for what you got. Like I said, it's
I was
not a
surprised to
huge
hear
game.
this was 3 discs. Yeah.
It's not a huge game, and so that surprised me. And the fact that there was just not there just wasn't an overall interesting element to it. Aside from the medics, which was cool, the rest of it it didn't grab you as something really different or original. Still, the bones were strong on that one. Did you get to use your stuff?
We did. Graham Vebke over on Discord says, as someone who loves Choplifter, this seems to be a jungle-based Apocalypse Now take on the game. And at its core it is, but boy is this unforgiving. Visually very nice, it controls well, and the sounds are good too, but the difficulty factor makes you want to give up. It also relies on you knowing where everything is, especially the cannons, and if there was a radar like Pixels had already mentioned, it would have made this better, but still tough as nails. 5 out of 10. Speaking of Pixels, he says, a nice drawn and animated game which is fun to pass some time on the surface. Unfortunately, deaths can be super cheap with anti-air shells falling out of the sky without warning, unexpected strafing runs, and tanks shooting you in the face. Needs a radar desperately, but can't hold a candle to Desert Strike, which came out the year before. Ooh. I put it down partway through level 2. 4 out of 10. And finally, Chris Fold says, I wanted to love this game. I love Choplifter, I love Jungle Strike, and I wanted some side-on action hybrid of the two. This game may be great, but you just get pummeled into the dirt repeatedly until you throw the joystick at the wall. In the days before external playtesting, they sure knew how to release a great game and then make it inaccessible to everyone. 3 out of 10.
I'm surprised that the guys are so down on it. And I will say, like I said, on the first level, and that artillery shell, when you first start the game, you can just get nailed right on the pad because it hones in on you, which artillery does. But if you know to instantly get up high, real high, drive all the way across the board and blow it up, that takes that out of play. But I mean, again, why have it there? I guess, like I said, on the first level, again, the learning curve of some stuff is baffling. And in terms of the rest of that, those are all valid criticisms. I think if this game started production in 90, 91, if they'd release this in, say, 92, or you know what I'm saying, then you got something. But you're right, coming out after Desert Strike, it's a tough sell.
Yeah.
It's a tough, especially effectively being a Choplifter clone. It's a tough sell.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Aaron, as we move towards the end of the show, the Patreon song is back.
Oh no.
We took a couple weeks off. Give
Apocalypse Now.
Everybody a little bit of breathing space. But we're back with a vengeance. So if you know this week's Patreon song, please send me an email at john@amigospodcast.com, and I will announce you as a winner. And we do want to thank all of our supporters. You can actually support the show through Patreon or PayPal. All the details at everythingamiga.com/support. So here we go.
What is that? Horrible.
That's how I warm up. Bjorn Van Gudnanson, Terry Howard Reflection, Simon Letch, Cap and Crispy Kilobytes and Caffeine, Mike W. Decker, Threepwood, Gary Heather, Free Lunch, Kate Fox, David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Lobsterminator, Craig McClellan, 10-minute Amiga Retrocast, Counting Virtual Sheep, Bernard Quinn, Retro Man Cave, Tim Drew, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Eder, Rob O'Hara, Howard Nibbs, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig, Sean Zodarren, Lomax, Colin 419, Mark Bitt, Roland Burke, Andrew Monks, Joe the Zombie, John Cook, Leif Kellan, Leif, Alan Kebab, Check Cote, Level Lord, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocher, Creepy Dead Boy, Figgy CTZ, The Slow Norris, Stefan Sorgard, Mortensen, Edvin Helland, Blindo 75, Christopher Hassel, Ravi Abbott, Chris Foles, Dreamcatcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham W. Vebke, Lane Denson, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage. Time to take it home. Gary Hucker C, Brian Jones, Paul Bossman Harrington, Duncan Styles, Tapes from the Crypt, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy Humberstad, Daniel Bingston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Warnes, Pixels at Dawn, and Kjolbjorn Barman.
I got no idea what that was.
Well,
can you sing a funeral dirge? I think you can now. I believe you can. I want that performed at my service boat.
All right, Aaron, next week, it's our even more popular and famous than our PD episodes. It is Halloween episode number 5. These are always a real crowd pleaser and fun to talk about.
Won't this take place the day after Halloween?
It will. It will. We're on what's called a flexible timetable.
I see.
Okay. We're going to be playing Nightbreed.
Cool. Hey, I can tell my story again.
Yeah.
For the 8th time.
And we're going to be playing Severed Heads.
We're doing Double Trouble?
It's Double Trouble. On
Severed
the Halloween
Heads
episode.
is a game? That sounds like right up your alley, Boatster.
What? All right, guys. Thanks as always for watching. If you're just an audio listener and you want to tune in for the next 90 days, we're going to be broadcasting live on twitch.tv/Amigos Retro Gaming. So feel free to join us live or catch the recaps over there. And of course, we'll upload the full show to YouTube and your favorite audio podcatcher. Let's talk a little bit. Thank you, Pixels just reminded us that we did not give a little channel update. So, Aaron, why don't you give us a rundown on what's been going on the Amigos Retro Gaming YouTube channel?
It's been an interesting week on the YouTube boat. We haven't done a ton, but we have a couple things just in time for Halloween, Boaster. Myself, Amigo Aaron, had a look at the horrifying, spine-tingling Poltergeist.
If that image doesn't strike terror into your heart.
The Coco. And so it's me giving this a whirl, horribly failing. You know, I told you on the second stage how I nailed it the first time.
Not so easy when you're doing it live, is it?
No, it's not. In fact, I failed and failed. This was a precursor for my week. Perpetual failing, nonstop. But it was fun. I had a good time playing it. And so if you're interested, if you caught our Coco show from a couple weeks ago where we covered Poltergeist, and you're like, what the heck does this look like? Go have a go at it and have a look. I had a good time playing it. What else we got on here, Boat?
Well, my escape key stopped working, so I
Boat
don't know.
struggles mightily to try to get out of this thing. I should mention that we sort of touched on it, but we had a challenging issue with YouTube that has prevented us from streaming live anymore, and it all stems from ARG Presents last week, where we covered movie games. And I'm not going to go into it, but I'll touch on that in a minute. But that is I thought me and Brent actually had a real good time doing that episode, and it is up in a sort of censored format. I wanted to make sure we didn't get in trouble again. And then along those lines, I did a video to sort of explain why we were going to be on Twitch for the next 90 days, because we are in YouTube live jail, which if you are interested or care enough to go see that, it's just me talking about it in a calm, considerate manner where I didn't blow my top. So it took me, literally I couldn't record that for like 5 days. I had to wait until I was much calmer. And then this morning, just hot off the presses, Boat, just published as I was walking through the door here, this week's ARG Presents, which we violently tackle, the Jupiter Ace. It's a pain in the ace to load games on this thing, if you know what I mean. But we managed to give it a shot. Once again, Brent comes through with the wackiest computer you've ever heard of, or never heard of in this case. And poor Brent was sick as a dog this morning, so you'll have to deal with that. But we had a good time, and we picked a couple interesting games for the Ace, and so it's good for a larf.
Cool.
I think that's about all we put together this week. I've got a couple more things in the kitty, so I should have. In fact, they're already recorded. I'll be putting them up this week to coincide with some other releases. So.
All right. Well, sounds good, guys. Thanks as always for listening and or watching. We'll see you next week. Until then, adios.